Hi, I'm Heather from Heather Handmade, and today I'm going to teach you how to make an elastic waist skirt. Please subscribe to my channel for lots of fun sewing projects. This is a smaller one. I made it for my daughter, but you can use this technique to make a skirt for any size and any age. This is a great beginner sewing project, and this is one that kids can do, and it's fun for them to be able to make a skirt for themselves and wear it. It makes them really proud. So let's get started. So to make this skirt, you are going to need to measure your waist, and you are going to measure from your waist down to how long you want your skirt to be. With your waist measurement, you will need to multiply it by 1.5 or 2 to get the full width, with the gathers. I don't recommend going more than multiplying it more than 2, because then it will be too much. Even 2 is a little much to fit with an elastic. So 1.5 is a really good number to use, and it doesn't look like your skirt is too full. You will also, when you're measuring the length, you will need to add a little bit to the bottom and a little bit to the top for the hem and the casing, but I explained that in more detail later in the video. For this sewing project, you're going to need some light to medium weight fabric. You can use anything from quilting cotton to chambray to a polyester blend. As long as it is a woven fabric and it is not too heavy, then this project will work with pretty much any fabric. You will need either, like a yard for a child, or maybe 2 to 3 yards for a teenager or an adult. You will also need a yard to 2 yards of 1-inch elastic. So I'm doing a skirt for my daughter, and I will just need 1 rectangle of the full width of the fabric. And what I like to do is I like to rip the fabric, since you get a really straight line. So I'm going to start at the top, and you can see how there's this like it's fraying and it's not a straight edge. So I'm going to go down a couple of inches, and I'm going to do a slit in the fabric, and then I'm going to pull, and this will rip the fabric across straight across. You'll get a little bit of it might get a little wrinkled at the top, but you can just press that out and it won't be a big problem. Then you are going to measure the length that you want. Then you're going to need to add 1 inch to the bottom for the hem allowance, and then you are going to need to add 1.5 inches for the casing at the top. And once you find that spot, you are going to do another slit in the fabric and do another rip all the way across. So you can see, since I'm doing a child and I'm not doing, since I'm doing a child and I'm doing a 2-to-1 gathering ratio, I just need 1 long rectangle of fabric. If you are going to be making a skirt for a teenager or an adult, or you want a high gathering ratio, then you will probably need 2 long rectangles, and then you will sew the side seams of those 2 rectangles. Since this is just 1 rectangle, I only have 1 seam to sew. So I'm going to take this long rectangle, and I'm going to match up the short ends. I am going to keep the selvage on here on the edge, and I'm going to actually use that on the inside as finishing the edge, so I don't have to do any serging or zigzag to finish the seam. So what you're going to do is you are going to match up the short ends of the rectangle with right sides together. And you're going to pin this seam together. Now you're going to sew this seam. You're going to backstitch at the top and at the bottom, and you're going to do a 5/8 inch seam allowance, and you're going to use a straight stitch. Now that this seam is sewn, we are going to press the seam open. Now we are going to press the two folds of the hem. I like to use, this is called a Dritz Easy Hem. I think they use it for, it's usually used for like drapes and stuff, but I love it because it has a straight edge, and then it has all of these markings to show you how much to fold it up. So I place it here at the bottom and fold up the fabric. So I'm doing 1/2 inch. I'm going to fold up the fabric 1/2 inch twice, and that equals 1 inch, and that's a double fold hem. So as you can see, I'm folding up that this edge, and it's going up to 1/2 inch. Then I take my iron and just press it in place. And then you do that all the way around the hem. After I have done the one fold, I'm going to place the hem piece again and roll it up another 1/2 inch to get a nice clean fold. Now you can go around and pin this hem in place if you want, or I'm just going to go around and I'm going to sew this hem. I'm going to sew 3/8 of an inch up from the bottom. I'm going to sew from the top. So the hem is completed, and I have pressed it nice and flat after I sewed it. Now for the top of the skirt, this is going to be the casing. You are first going to fold down 3/8 of an inch and press it all the way around. And then after that, you are going to fold again at 1 1/8 inch and press it all the way around. Now I'm going to go around and sew I'm going to sew from the front side, and I'm going to sew 1 1/8 away from the top, and you're going to be sewing right along this fold here. But as you're sewing, you need to back stitch when you start, and when you end you need to back stitch, but you're going to leave about a 4-inch hole so that you can insert the elastic, and then we'll close the hole after we insert the elastic. Now the casing is complete. I have this opening here for inserting elastic, and that's what we are going to do next. So I cut the 1-inch elastic to the size 2 inches smaller than my daughter's waist. Then I'm going to take a safety pin. This is an extra large safety pin. You can use any size safety pin, or you can even use a bodkin, and you are going to slide the safety pin onto the end of your elastic. Then you're going to take your safety pin and put it inside the casing, and you're going to start pushing the fabric over the safety pin and along the elastic. As you can see, this side is starting to get short, so you have to make sure as you're going, you're very careful to not pull this end inside of your casing, because then you'll have to redo it again. So once I've pulled it to the end, I do want to push this extra fabric onto the elastic, but I'm not going to pull the elastic through. So you're gonna start having extra gathers on your elastic as you go. Once you have your elastic, both ends pulled out, I like to go through, you have to go through and make sure that your elastic didn't twist. So you have to kind of go through and pull it and stretch it. And if it's rolled at all, you got to fix that or untwist it. Now that the elastic has all been straightened and it's pulled through, you're going to take your two ends, you're going to overlap them by 1/2 inch, and you are going to sew a couple of zigzag stitches up and down to secure the elastic. Now that that is done, you can pull the elastic into the skirt, into the casing, and we are going to, you kind of have to pull the fabric, but we're going to just finish this, close this hole by sewing along the edge of the fold just like we did before. Now, one last thing I like to do to help keep the elastic from twisting once it's done and it goes through the wash, I like to add a stitch in the ditch right along the seam, and I just sew straight up, and this helps keep the elastic, you know, standing up inside, and it won't twist while it goes through the wash. And that's how you make an elastic waist skirt. I can't wait to see all of the elastic waist skirts that you make. Please share them with me on social media, and have a wonderful day.